Good evening and welcome back to the Rory Talks Football YouTube channel. Welcome back to the Arsenal Transfer Room live on a Friday evening. I hope you're all doing well. It is the end of the week. The weekend is here. We're going to be talking about Arsenal's current situation in the transfer market. Are we going to make one more signing? If so, Eze or an actual left winger? We'll be talking about yesterday's game, obviously. It fueled a huge amount of negativity, which I think was a bit of an overreaction. But I can kind of understand it. So, yeah, we're going to be getting into it. Loads of you in here, which we absolutely love to see. Josh, Ryan, Simon, El Minister, Hyper, Ethan Udal, VV Vlad, Cringe is here as well. You will be enjoying, those of you that are members in the chat, you now have cannons. There is now a system of tiers. So those of you that are new members, you have a red cannon. Those of you that have been members for a month, you have a silver cannon. Those of you that have been members for 2 months, you have a red cannon. No, a gold cannon. Then I think it's 6 months, you get the full Arsenal crest. 12 months, you get a golden Arsenal crest. And then I need to figure out some new ones. There are also now 4 emojis that the members get to use. So, you know, is it worth it? Probably not. Josh, thank you very, very much for gifting a membership to the channel. If you've just been gifted, please do make sure to thank Josh. Josh is very generous. So thank you very, very much. Love them, actually. There you go. There we go. There's some of the emojis. You'll love to see it. You'll love to see it. What about Twitch? I've been stuck for 12 months. Yeah, I need to do the same thing on Twitch. I do need to do the same thing on Twitch coming soon. It literally expired today. It's heartbreak for Carter. That is heartbreak. I'm excited. By the way, credit to Carter because the emojis, he's the one that's been capturing them. So credit. I think we need to sign one extra player. Yeah, 100%. 100%. The question is whether it's Eze or an actual left winger. But there's no doubt we've got to sign one of them. Ben Jacobs said Liverpool won't bid again for Isak. He did, but I think they will. I mean, it's brave from Liverpool, but I think they're basically saying you're going to have to sell Isak. Like, the damage that he has now done is irreparable. So you're going to have to sell him. So we'll just wait for you to come back to us. Like, we will start the season with Darwin Nunez, Ekiti, Cody Gakpo. And we'll wait for you to come back. And I think they will. Because it's a lot of, 120 million for a player that doesn't want to play for you anymore. And it's not like it's not like someone else is going to come in and bid. No one else is spending that sort of money on Isak. So, yeah. Nid, good to see you. Not falling for that one. And also, cricket's been good. Cricket's been kind of crazy. Oslo Gunas here. You'll have to see it. 150 million is insanity. There was one report. From Dave Okop, who's a Liverpool journalist. Apparently quite a good one. That Liverpool are prepared to bid 80 million up front, as in 80 million right here, right now, another 50 million next year, and 10 million in add-ons. So 140 million total, with 80 of that coming this summer. That's an insane bid. Like, I just don't see how Newcastle turn that down, because it's mental. And to be honest, I think that's an overpay. I don't think he's even worth that. I don't think, really, like, unless it's Erling Haaland off the back of his first season at City, then I just don't think it's worth it. Harvey, thank you very, very much for the $4.99. Says, hi, mate, what's your prediction on who wins the league this season? Based on all the transfers done so far, do you think Liverpool are too strong? I would say for now, Liverpool have to be favourites, for sure. I do think that there are potential weaknesses that rely on ifs and buts, right? So I think at centre-back, they're light. Their depth is bad. If Van Dijk got a significant injury, they'd be in trouble. But that's an if that might not happen. So as it stands, yeah, I think they have to be favourites. Especially with Arsenal so far having not addressed our left-wing problem. But thank you very much for the $4.99. And Aswad has become a new member of the channel. Aswad, enjoy your red cannon logo. You'll have to see it. What's Eze's price? Well, so we'll get into Eze because here's the interesting thing. So, according to Fabrizio Romano, Eze's release clause expires today. And he's playing right now, so we're not going to trigger it. So, the release clause, which was 60 million plus 8 in add-ons, so 68 in total, 60 plus 8, that has expired now. So we cannot trigger that, which we were never going to in the first place, right? We were never going to trigger the release clause. Fabrizio said Arsenal will then need to enter into a negotiation with Palace to sign the player. Palace sources are expecting Arsenal to arrive irrespective of the release clause expiring. But it remains to be seen what Arsenal can do financially. He then said Crystal Palace expect Arsenal to arrive with an official offer very soon. So the feeling is that Arsenal wanted or didn't care about the release clause, right? So the release clause was never a factor, and that Arsenal will eventually make a bid, and we'll have to see how that bid goes. But I think people are underestimating Crystal Palace here. I've seen a lot of people saying, "Oh, this was smart by Arsenal because we'll wait for the release clause and then we'll bid lower." I'm like, Crystal Palace had the release clause there for a reason. That's what they value him at. Not only that, they made it so that the release clause expires now for a reason. They wanted to make sure that if someone triggered the release clause and bought Eze, they would have at least 2 weeks before the start of the season to use that money and get a replacement. So I don't see a world in which Palace now turn around and go, "Oh yeah, actually, we'll sell Eze later than we wanted to and for less than we valued him at." I don't think that will happen personally. Just you look historically at Palace, they don't do that. They didn't do it with Guehi and Newcastle or Chelsea. They didn't do it with Wilf Zaha. They'd rather lose the player on a free or lose him for less than negotiate for lower than what they think he's worth. So yeah, I think it's a sticky one right now. Liam, thank you very, very much for the 199. Says, thoughts on Dalman coming on and not Nwaneri? My feeling is that Nwaneri was never, ever going to come on. My feeling is that because there are players that are on various programs, they're told Arteta is basically told the amount of minutes that certain players should be playing, which as an example is why I think Zubimendi didn't come on until really late. Having played like 77 minutes against Newcastle. And I just feel like he was never going to come on because otherwise it makes no sense, right? It makes no sense that Ødegaard plays the full 90 and Nwaneri doesn't play a minute. So yeah, and I don't know why that is, but I don't think the Dalman thing was... I mean, I think the fact that Dalman did come on for a significant period of time again is a really good sign. But yeah, the Nwaneri thing I think is odd because again, by the way, at this point, I'd be bringing him on off the left as well if we needed to, especially with Rossard going off injured. So yeah, but thank you for the 199, Liam. Why don't people understand that Gyökeres was unfit? Because people are idiots, but people want to be idiots. This was like, there was so much nonsense that came out from yesterday. Even like I saw Chelsea fans when people were saying, Gyökeres hasn't played all summer, had a load of travelling, came on for 10 minutes, and people are criticising him for not scoring. I saw people then going, "Oh, João Pedro went straight to the Club World Cup and it was fine." And it's like, okay, yeah, but João Pedro was just off the back of a Premier League season, had gone on holiday, and even then, his first game at the Club World Cup, he played for 36 minutes and didn't score or assist. So, yeah, look, there was just a huge amount of rage baiting going on yesterday, which is not worth falling into. Back to Eze. Ben Jacobs as well, in terms of whether or not we actually are still in for Eze. Ben Jacobs said Arsenal have already communicated to Crystal Palace that they don't want to trigger the release clause. They might need an outgoing first, but the expectation is still that a bid will go in this window and that it will be lower than the release clause. So I don't know. I don't know what the outcome of this is going to be. My gut feeling is that Crystal Palace don't sell him for less than the release clause. That's my gut feeling. But maybe I'm wrong because Arsenal have waited, they've let the release clause expire, and according to both Fabrizio and Ben Jacobs, we still plan on going back in for him with an actual bid. So We'll have to wait and see. But ultimately, I actually don't think Eze should be the priority. I really do think a proper left winger should be the priority at this point. Eze can play on the left, but you get the best out of him through the middle by quite a distance. Off the left-hand side, he can take it past his man and he'll be decent. He'll be better than Trossard and Martinelli currently are. But I feel like you could spend that money on someone better if you're going for an actual left winger. We're not signing Eze and a left winger. It's Eze and that's it, or it's someone else. I completely agree. I completely agree. We're not going to sign Eze and go and get a left winger. No chance in hell. Josh, thank you very, very much for gifting another membership to the channel. Again, if you've just been gifted by Josh, please do thank him. What an absolute legend. Unbelievable generosity from Josh. Indy Kyler with news on Arteta not wanting Martinelli. Indy Kyler is a liar when it comes to Arsenal. Indy Kyler is a Liverpool propaganda machine at this point. Yes, this summer, suddenly they have a lot of information about Liverpool. All of their information that they've put out previously about Arsenal has not been true. And actually, repeatedly now, they've taken things that are clearly annoying the Arsenal fan base and added fuel to it, as they've done with that Martinelli thing. It is complete and utter nonsense. And I know for a fact that Mikel Arteta is not like massively keen on keeping Martinelli. So Indy Kyler is winding people up. You might have already answered this, but would you prefer Lookman or Eze? I think right now I'd prefer Lookman. I think right now, with where I think we need to improve, I think I would be looking at Lookman. So look, we'll move on to the left wing options, right? Because I think that is more important. Based on yesterday, I really do. According to, is it Diorias, this Spanish outlet? They said Arsenal have distanced themselves from Rodrygo as they focus on Eze and Anthony Gordon. Now, the Rodrygo rumours, not even just to Arsenal, but Rodrygo rumours in general, have completely died out. You know, I remember early July, maybe late June, early July, Rodrygo was obviously getting no game time at the Club World Cup, and there was a lot of speculation around him. There was a lot of excitement around that deal, and there was that big thing I remember from Hand of Arsenal and Rodra, the Spanish journalist, saying Rodrygo is Arsenal's number one winger target this summer, and it's all died out. And not just with us either. With Liverpool, it's died out. With Chelsea, any links with Chelsea, they've died out. So it's a bit of an interesting one. My only feeling is that clubs are not getting the encouragement from Rodrygo that he actually wants to move, or the numbers being given by Real Madrid are too high. But either way, it's kind of died out. John, thank you very, very much for the £2 super chat. Says Max and Saka, teams can't double up on both, can they? Well, yeah, you're right. But the thing is, can Max play off the left? And also, he is still only 15, which I have to keep reminding myself, because he doesn't look it when he plays, but he is still only 15. But this is why I want the left winger, right? Because we're seeing it time and time again, whether it's Martinelli, whether it's Trossard. Saka, double, trebled up on, as he was yesterday. On the other side, it mathematically has to leave our left winger in a better position, often one-on-one, and they're just not doing enough. And people say, like, oh, it's, maybe it's tactical, maybe putting them out on the, touchline wingers, that's not working for. I'm sorry, there's a basic level that I expect my winger to hit, and that is taking it past their fullback in a one-on-one 50% of the time. And you can see that we've got, Reece Nelson comes on and he can do it. Okay, you might say, well, he's coming on for the final 10 minutes and it's against a tired Pedro Porro, whatever. You can see it. Reece Nelson stands a fullback up. He can go left or right with pace and control. I just don't feel like we're getting that right now. And I think it's hurting us. I do think it's hurting us a lot. So, yeah, this is where I would be going for. The left winger. Santino, thank you very, very much for the 5 DKK. No message with it, just a sticker. But I really do appreciate that. Thank you. How do you know for a fact that Arteta isn't keen on keeping Nelly? We'd love to see Lookman. Just things I've heard from people that I trust. It's not that Arteta wants Martinelli out. It's that he's not the crown jewel. By the way, it doesn't even need to be based on things that I've heard. Gabriel Martinelli is the only player with 2 years left on his contract that we haven't even opened negotiations with for a new contract yet. So it's not even, you can look at it from that perspective. Saliba, Saka, we know we're trying to renew their deals. So yeah, I think that's clear. And also, I just like, I don't think Arteta massively rates him anyway, in the sense that he also can't really decide whether he wants to start Trossard or Martinelli anyway. Martinelli wages are way too high, hard to shift. Yeah, big problem. 200k a week. That's the big problem with Martinelli. That's why when people look at like, oh, why is it so much easier for Liverpool to sell Luis Diaz than for us to sell Martinelli, or for United to even sell like Garnacho? It's wages. I think Diaz was only on like low 100Ks. Martinelli's up on 200K, which makes it tough. If we're desperate to needing a proper left winger, do you think the best option that's affordable is Leao? We're going to talk about it. So, look, we're in this situation where Rodrygo would be the number one for me. Rodrygo would absolutely be the number one for me. For whatever reason, it doesn't feel like that is something that is going to happen. And I think that's a massive loss. And I think that is where I worry about the ambition of the Cronkies. Because people will say, oh, the Cronkies have backed Arteta, right? They've kind of done the bare minimum that the squad needed to be able to compete at this level. They could not have spent less than they have with any manager and gotten to a position where Arsenal Football Club are finishing second in the league and getting to the semi-finals of the Champions League. Like, there's no way they could have spent less than what they've spent to get us back to this point. But when it comes to that ambition to go just that extra bit further to really try and win something, in the way that Liverpool are doing right now, I just don't think we get that from the Cronkies. Because if we did, it would be simple. Get Martinelli or Trossard or both off the books and go big for the player that you know you need, which is Rodrygo, and he's available. So that concerns me. Josh, thank you very, very much for the $4.99. Not a football question, but we say triple in USA and you say treble. Just wondering what you'll call the sound quality option that we call treble. I have no idea what the sound quality option called a treble is. We say both triple and treble generally, but I don't know what the sound quality thing is. I can't even think of what that is. I've never mentioned anything to do with sound called the treble. Diaz was on 55k. Yeah, I mean, he'd have definitely been on more. By the way, thank you very, very much, EV, for the $1.99. Unbelievably grateful for that. I don't think he'd have been on 55k total, right? He'd have been on 55k maybe as the absolute base, and then a load more in add-ons on top. Have we got any clarity on this treble thing? Santino, thank you very, very much for the 17 DKK. Which 9 players would you pick for our Premier League bench? The opposite of base. I got a base. No, he's not great, is he, anymore? Treble, the opposite of base. I don't know. What do we call the treble then? Treble versus base. The buttery biscuit base. I don't know. Right, which 9 players would I pick for our Premier League bench? Assuming everybody is fit, Kepa obviously would be the goalkeeper. We then normally have 2 defenders. For me, that would be, as an example, Calafiori and either White or Timber. So if you've got Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Mars Lewis Skelly, it'd be Calafiori and it'd be Ben White, basically. I guess you could say the 2 defenders that would miss out would be Kivior and Mosquera right now. Then you've got the midfielders. I would be looking at Norgard, Marino, and Nwaneri as the midfielders. And then the attackers, you're looking at Madueke, Havertz, and either Martinelli or Trossard, basically. Although I honestly would probably throw Damon on the bench instead of Martinelli or Trossard at this point, because they're just annoying me. So there you go. But thank you very much for the 17 DKK. Sound quality equals bass and treble. I've heard of bass. I've heard of the buttery biscuit bass, but I've never heard of treble. But But yeah, we do use both triple and treble. We I feel like we use both of them. Because I would say something is like, if there was 3 layers of something, I'd call it a triple decker, not a treble decker. If that makes sense. I don't really know why I interchanged them either. We need Champions League bench at this point? Yeah, for sure. For sure. PK, thank you very, very much for the $9.99. Unbelievable. Can't figure out a way to give a community membership. Thank you very much for the $9.99. I think sometimes either on your phone or in certain regions, you can't gift memberships. I don't know. Josh, did you ever figure out? Because I know Josh was having a problem with it and then found out a way to do it. So maybe there is a way. But I very much appreciate the $9.99. That is incredibly generous. Who do you think is our last signing? I don't know. Mosquera looked sharp. He did. Mosquera did look sharp. But if you're just realistic about it, if we've got 2 defenders on the bench, like, if they're fit, it'll be you're not going to have... Basically, you're not going to not have either Calafiori, Timber, White, or Miles Lewis-Skelly not in the squad. So at that point, 2 of those 4 are going to be on the bench. Do you think Trossard will leave now? I don't know, because I don't know where he's going to go. Again, we heard that like Dortmund were interested, but now they're moving on Sancho. We're too slow to sell. We're too slow to sell, in my opinion. Pretty sure you can do it on mobile. Could be a region thing then. Do you think the Premier League will ever allow the massive benches that you get in the UCL? No. I don't think they will. To be honest, I don't really see the point in them. Like, I've never... Can you think of a single game that we've ever had where you've been like, oh my God, I wish this player who's not even in the entire squad was on the bench so that they could come on? It just doesn't happen. Like, 9 is enough. Timber is definitely better than Ben White. I mean, you are called Jurgen, so I feel like you might have a bias here. I think it's close. I think what Ben White offers going forwards is slightly better than Timber. I actually think it works on my laptop. Okay, there you go. Josh said, he said, you can't gift on your phone because Apple and Google Pay doesn't let you do it, but you can do it on your laptop. There you go. Thank you for the clarification. Well, so hear me out. I think we could see both. Well, depending on him coming back from injury, I think we could see White and Timber both start. Against Manchester United, I think we might see White at right back, Timber at left back. Because if I'm honest, and I'm not going overboard or anything, Miles Lewis-Skelly, to me, at the moment, and not even with the goal that we conceded, because I don't think that was his fault at all because he got fouled. But for me at the moment, Miles Lewis-Skelly looks just a little bit off it compared to last season. And obviously Calafiori struggles with injuries. So in terms of going away to Old Trafford, wanting to lock down that side of Amad Diallo and Mbeumo, I could see Timber starting at left back. But if he was going to do that, he would have to be available for that game against Villarreal next Wednesday. Sesko was the better option than Gyökeres. He might have been the better option long term. This was what we always had the debate and the discussion about. But the fact is, his price hasn't changed still. You know, we're hearing Manchester United are now interested in Benjamin Sesko, and they're still being quoted with 75 million euros as the fee, a further 10 to 15 million euros in add-ons, and a sell-on clause. All in, that makes the deal 100 million euros. And he wants big wages. And his agent wants a big fee. So, you know, as much as Sesko might have been long-term the better option, which is up for debate in itself, we'd still be here right now. Right now, if we had stuck in for Benjamin Sesko, we would be going into, we'd be halfway through pre-season and we still wouldn't have a striker because we're not going to pay that for Sesko. And Leipzig aren't budging. So it's like, what can you do at that point, you know? PK, thank you for another $1.99. Says, do you think we'll trigger Eze's release clause today? No. If we were going to trigger the release clause, we'd have done it ages ago anyway, because there was no benefit to us waiting. And also, he's got a goal and an assist today. He's playing for Crystal Palace today. I don't think that they would have waited until a day like today, where he's playing, to have done it. So I don't think so. You mean Benjamin Tesco better than Victor Gyökeres? Yeah, no, Glockers, yeah. That clip was funny. Solvi Crafts, thank you very much for the 750. Now, I believe this is a new currency. I think this is a new currency. ISK. What could that be? ISK. Krona. Whenever it ends in a K, I feel like it's always Krona. Icelandic, maybe? Is that Icelandic krona? Do Iceland have krona? Oh, this is interesting. But thank you very much for 750 of the money. And you said Madueke is going to be class at left wing. His left-footed crosses into Ødegaard and Gyökeres will be massive. He's great one-on-one. I don't disagree. As it stands, I'm thinking Madueke has to start off the left wing. And I've not seen him play on the left wing for Arsenal. But as it stands, he can take a man on 1v1 very well. And like you said, if he goes down onto his left foot, pulls it back, Victor Gyökeres loves those sorts of balls in. I think you're right. But thank you very much for the 750. It is Iceland. It is Icelandic krona. Oh, look at me go. Sensational. Iceland, like the shop? Yes. And also like the country. I'm fairly sure Iceland was a country before it was a supermarket. Nelson being our best left wing says it all. Yeah, look, let's continue with those left wing options. So we spoke about Rodrygo. Ademola Lookman is another one. We've not been linked to him. It's someone that I want or I think is an option if needs be. And actually, it's getting very interesting with Lookman at the moment. He has now removed everything related to Atalanta from his social media. Not a post of him, anything of him wearing an Atalanta shirt is gone, and he's removed his profile picture. So it is safe to say Lookman wants out of Atalanta. Now, this is in relation, actually, to Inter Milan. So Lookman had an agreement, once again, a gentleman's agreement with Atalanta that he could leave for 45 million euros. Inter Milan have bid 45 million euros, and Atalanta have effectively said, well, yeah, but we don't really want to lose you to a Serie A club for that amount. And as a result, Fabrizio Romano said today, Atalanta have informed Inter that they have rejected a bid of 42 million euros plus 3 million euros in add-ons. So I think he's available. I think he is available. And I'm looking at that going, if we go in with 45 million euros, we probably get him. Atalanta would rather take 45 million euros from a non-Serie A club. I'm thinking 45 million euros for a guy that will come in off the left-hand side. His output is there. 1v1, he is excellent. I just think as a backup option, as a cheaper option, he's the same age as Eze. I think that is... Can he get past his man? He can look past his man, and he can run past his man. That would be there for me. Now, as I said, there have been no links between Arsenal and Lookman, which is frustrating. And actually, if you think about it, there have been no links between Arsenal and any actual left winger other than those Rodrygo ones. Take Rodrygo out of it, couple of little links to Anthony Gordon, which is never going to happen. Outside of that, we've not been massively linked to one. And that goes for Rafael Leao as well. Now, I put Leao on the thumbnail because I keep seeing people talking about Leao. And I've said before, I don't think it's necessarily the player that I would go for. I think he's got flaws. I think there are concerns with him. A couple of things. One is how much he tracks back or how much he doesn't track back. But the other one is the consistency of him. Now, some people might say, well, that's because he's at AC Milan, right? He's at a team where he's clearly the best attacking player. Milan are not in a good place these days. And, you know, maybe if you put him in a much better team where he's not the star, that will improve. I don't know. But yeah, the fact is we've not actually been linked at all to either of them, which is a bit concerning. Whereas obviously we've been massively linked to Eze. And again, I don't know if that is the optimal solution off the left-hand side. Gordon will want to leave next summer. He will. Gordon was open to a leave last summer, by the way. If Liverpool had bid for Gordon last summer, he would have pushed for it. So, yeah, I think he will leave at some point. Do you think we have a better chance of winning the league this year compared to last year? Heading into the season, I actually don't think so. I actually think I was more confident going into last season than I am this season. I mean, literally, last season when it came time to do all the predictions and stuff, it was the first time I had started predicting Arsenal to win the league. I don't predict Arsenal to win the league right now, just because of how much Liverpool have spent and the fact that we still haven't gone and upgraded the left wing. Up the Geordies. 500 people and only 20 likes. Come on, guys, let's get it up. Yeah, if you could like, and please subscribe. Please like and subscribe. Clicking the like button is free, and it massively helps me. Subscribing, we're on the way to 23,000 subscribers, which is unbelievable. So I do appreciate anyone that could take the time to do that for me. But yeah, so with this left wing. Now, the other thing that slightly not concerns me, but confuses me, right, is if the plan all along, maybe the plan that wasn't communicated to the fan base, but it was the plan, was that Madueke is coming in to be the left winger, right? Let's argue that's the plan. Madueke comes in to be the left winger. Mikel Arteta has never, ever attempted to play a left-footed left winger at Arsenal. He's just never done it. Whether it was putting Aubameyang off the left, whether it's been having Martinelli off the left, Leandro Trossard off the left, Reece Nelson off the left. There has never been a left-footed, Willian even off the left. We've not had a left-footed left winger. The only time you could even remotely try and connect a left-footed left winger to Arteta was Sane at Man City. And so this idea, he's done it in occasional games in which we had no alternatives. But in terms of like, he has a fit squad and he chooses to play a left winger at left wing, it doesn't happen, right? Yeah, Pepe at times. But again, in terms of when he's had a fully fit squad and the players to do it, he's not done it. And every time he's made a signing, it's not been that. So the thing that I would then question is, Kieran Tierney. Yeah, Kieran Tierney final game of last season. But even with that, by the way, not just even in terms of a left-footed left winger, but even in terms of having like a left-footed overlapping wing back, he moved away from Tierney and didn't go back there since. So I look at it and I'm like, and if that was the plan, but if the plan was to have Madueke starting off the left next season, would you also not try and replicate that a little bit during pre-season, even though Madueke is not there? And what I mean by that is Ethan Nwaneri. Ethan Nwaneri has played off the wing. He can play off the left wing. He played once off the left wing, if I remember last season, in one of the Champions League games. But like, if you were trying to replicate what we're going to see with Madueke, would you not then try Ethan Nwaneri there during pre-season just to get the team used to playing a left-footed left winger? So I don't know. That's where I'm just like, is that really the plan? And I'm not convinced that it is. Now, undoubtedly, when they bought him, they would have factored in the fact that he can play off the left. But I still think he was brought in as a backup to Saka that can play off the left, not Madueke is our new left wing signing. Because if that was the case, then we don't have the backup for Saka still. Do you think Gyökeres will start versus Villarreal? No. I think Gyökeres will get he might play the first 45. I think he'll play 45 minutes. I think he'll play 45 minutes against Villarreal. And then depending on what the plan is for the opening game of the season, he might get more than that against Bilbao. But I think the plan for Old Trafford is going to be to start Kai Havertz up front. And so on that basis, I think Arteta will still be using more of Havertz than Gyökeres in the two preseason games. If we signed Yamal, what do you think we would win? Love the content, by the way. Well, thank you, Taylor. I think it would be difficult if we signed Yamal because obviously, like, he would be competing with Saka, you know, unless you moved one of them out of position. But I mean, undoubtedly, we'd be better with Yamal off the left wing than what we currently have. Solvi, thank you very, very much for another 300 Icelandic krona. Xhaka was that overlapper. His crosses were huge. Yeah, we missed that. We do miss that. This is the thing. Look, there is an element when it comes to the left winger that they don't have enough support. Tactically, they don't have enough support because our left winger doesn't have an overlapping fullback, doesn't really even have a fullback that gets up alongside them to help out because Miles Lewis-Skelly moves into the midfield and receives it at the corner of the box. And they also don't really have an underlapping left 8 in the way that Granit Xhaka did. Now, Declan Rice will try to do it, but even then, it's awkward for Rice then because he's not really left-footed. So I do think the left-sided dynamic generally isn't great still. I also really think we need an attacking fullback in the squad. Whether it's left or right back, I really do think we need like a Nuno Mendes type player in terms of someone that can bomb forward, overlap, just to give us something different. Like Kieran Tierney offered that last season at times when he came on. We've lost that. We've lost, a proper overlapping fullback that will whip a ball in. Hatto could have been that guy to an extent. Yeah, he could have been. Dalman left centre mid, Rice right centre mid. Yeah, again, that's something, right? Why, especially in pre-season, where the result doesn't matter? I think this was what frustrated me a lot against Spurs yesterday, was that we never even tried anything. It looked so much like previous games last season, games that we struggled in, games that we dropped points or lost last season. It was the same formula, right? Dominate the opening 15, 20 minutes. Don't take any of the chances that we create off the back of it. Concede a stupid goal. Struggle to break down 11 men behind the ball. Like that formula, it feels very same old, same old. Now, I will say, Madueke wasn't playing. Gyökeres didn't play most of the game. Zubimendi didn't play most of the game. So we have brought in players that you hope are problem solvers for that problem. But why throughout the game, especially in the second half, did we not try something different? Did we not try, even something as basic as swap Rice and Ødegaard? Just switch over for a bit. See if that creates a different dynamic that causes problems. It feels very rigid. Very rigid. Which is a bit annoying. When you're like, if we tried something yesterday that was different, and we could see that it was different, and maybe it was working here, but it was causing us problems here, I think people would be a lot more willing to accept that. I think people would be like, okay, like I can see we're trying something different. I can see how it could work, but also it is causing us a problem there, so then we'll need to fix that. I feel like that progression, at least, would help people. I'd love Arteta to try Ødegaard at LCM and Rice. Yeah, we've seen briefly Ødegaard move to the left-hand side, and it creates completely different angles for him. Remember the goal against Porto? Remember the goal against Porto? Ødegaard into Trossard. Like, we've seen it. We've seen it in action where it can help unlock a defence. But we don't see it enough. When do you think Madueke will play his first match? It wouldn't surprise me if he gets some minutes against Villarreal and some against Bilbao. Again, I don't think he'll start at Old Trafford. But yeah, I don't know. We have a Football Inc. raid. Pekka has arrived. Football Inc. 3 people have said they've been raiding from Football Inc. 4 people. Thank you to Football Inc. Welcome to everyone that we've got a new currency again. Imprexi Studio. Thank you very much for the 11.99 PLN. That's got to be Polish, right? Poland. What do they use in Poland? That's got to be Polish. By the way, thank you for that raid. I appreciate everyone that joined from that raid. Absolute legend. You love to see it. Someone's put "Common Spurs" in the chat. Okay, it can't have been Can't have been an Arsenal. It can't have been an Arsenal channel that it's come from. What level of football have you played at? Sunday League. Nothing higher than Sunday League. Played for about 15 years. The majority of the time in goal for my local team. I didn't actually answer the question. I was too busy trying to figure out the currency. Madueke, Eze, Erdegaard, Saka versus low blocks. Yeah, I like it. I like it. The only problem with that is that you've got 4 attackers there. Yeah, I mean, if you stuck Rice behind that and Gyökeres in front of that, I think that's very good. I think that's very good. It is Poland. It's the Polish zloty. There you go. Shout out to Poland. Thank you very, very much for the 11.99 Polish złoty, it's pronounced. Thank you very much. Sean Butler and Johnny. Shout out to Sean Butler and Johnny. I appreciate you, boys. Thank you very much. Arteta's last season this year. I disagree. Rory to become our new left wing. I don't think I've got the pace in me these days. I say these days. I don't think I ever had the pace in me to be a left winger. I don't think I ever had the agility to be a left winger. No, I was more of a... I used to play up front for school. I used to play in goal for my local team, but I played up front for school. And I was very... who was I like? Sort of Dimitar Berbatov is probably the best comparison I could make. Probably Dimitar Berbatov. So, not quite as good. Not quite, I will admit, not quite as good. But that was the sort of role that I was playing. We need the left wing more than anything. I agree. If you haven't played at a decent level in your whole life, that means you won't ever have a valid opinion on how the game works. Yeah, I've never been a Michelin star chef, but I know what a good fucking steak tastes like. What a stupid opinion. What level have you played at, the 66? Oh, here we go. Let's find... Ladies and gentlemen, let's just wait for the 66 to reply with the Premier League team that he played for. Here we go. Come on, the 66. What Premier League team did you play for? Here we go. Academy. You never made it. A failure. An utter failure. Congratulations. Academy for who? Academy for who? The fact that you didn't say the name of the academy definitely means it was a shit team. So the difference between me and you is that you actually got in front of the people that could judge it and they rejected you. I was too busy doing other things. I was too busy focusing on other things. You're 16? Right. Well, what's that got to do with it? You're 16. I would argue you can't even have a fully valid formed opinion of the game itself at the age of 16. You were born in 2009. You were born after Thierry Henry played for Arsenal. This is quite remarkable. This is quite remarkable. Beefing with children? Yeah, I do agree. Well, Max Downman's 15. So, there you go. Yeah, I should have realised from the very first comment that I was probably arguing with a child there. I should have done. By the way, where's Keir Starmer's where's the Online Safety Act now? Where's the online... Protect him from making a fool of himself on the internet. Online Safety Act. What were your thoughts on the video you were tagged in on TikTok about the Arsenal 11 that you were manager in? Yeah. Me managing with Lee Gunner as my assistant. What could possibly go wrong? That would have been great fun. Martin, thank you very much for the $4.99. Says, hey, Rory, don't know why we signed Zubimendi when Rice is a better number. Your keyboard is broken. Rice is a better number 6. Eze in the 10, Erdegaard in the 8, Rice as a 6 would work better. Well, thank you very much for the $4.99. I mean, first of all, even if you think Rice is the 6, we needed depth for that, which Zubimendi would have been. But also, I think Zubimendi is going to be one of our most important players this season. And I think in terms of building out from the back and progressing the ball from the back, like when we play Rice as the 6, Erdegaard has to get way too involved in the build-up. With Zubimendi, he shouldn't have to do that. So, yeah, I think it's a sensible signing. I think it's a really under the radar signing. You sit on your ass talking about the job that I actually have a chance at. You sit on your ass commenting on my channel, which is my job, which allows me to do this full time and talk about football, the thing that you want to do. So we can go around in circles all day, my friend. We can go around in circles all day. Rory, I feel like the tactics are old and teams are figuring us out. To a certain extent, yeah. But the tactics work to a certain extent. This is where I'm on the fence, right? To a certain extent, we definitely need more options. 100%. We need more solutions in games because we see the same patterns. So at that point, you know you don't have the solution to it. Equally, even in a really bad injury-ridden season, we still came second and got to a Champions League semi-final. Now, won a trophy, blah, 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 blah. The point is, 4 years ago, if you said we were going to be finishing second and getting to a Champions League semi-final, no one would have believed you. So the tactics have got us to a point. And I don't feel like we need to massively move away from those tactics. Like, we don't need to massively overhaul it. I feel like we just need a couple of tweaks here and there, and we need a couple of extra solutions here and there. Which, again, like Eze massively provides that. For me, left wing massively provides that as well. But it's just a bit slow at the moment on that front. I don't trust him yet, but he has the potential. Madueke. No, look, I really, really hope that Madueke proves everyone wrong, because there are some people that you know had a lot of belief in him anyway. But I really hope Madueke, we're just like, oh my god, we found the left wing solution. Like, that's the dream. If 5 games into the season, we're like, Madueke is the solution, then fine, great. But it's just whether or not that'll actually be the truth. Any update on Trossard's injury? No. So the only updates on the injuries, Arteta said after the game yesterday, he said Gabriel Calafiori and Timber will all be ready to start the season. On Trossard, he tried to turn, was pushed, and felt something. So don't know exactly how bad that is for Trossard. For Gabriel Calafiori and Timber, to be honest, it sounds like they could have probably played yesterday, but there is zero reason in risking it. So hopefully we'll see them against Villarreal. If they're going to come back for the game against United at the start of the season, then they've got to be close. And even with Trossard, much like Calafiori, right? Calafiori felt something small, went off because it's not worth the risk. And even more so with Trossard, if he's looking at getting a move away, if Trossard's looking at moving to Dortmund or whatever this window, he will be like super paranoid about not getting injured. So yeah, hopefully it's nothing major on him either. What's the difference between a left-footed left winger and a right-footed left winger? Well, in a dream world, you have someone that actually it doesn't make much of a difference whether they're right or left-footed, right? Kenan Yildiz is a great example. But obviously, a left winger is far more likely to go down their left-hand side and put a cross in. Whereas a right-footed left winger is far more likely to cut inside and either shoot or put a different angle cross in. But also, if you're like a Madueke, getting to the byline and crossing it in is far easier and far more... the end product is far better than like Martinelli, who Martinelli gets to the byline and those left-footed crosses, sometimes they're actually good, but sometimes he struggles. So it just slightly changes the dynamic. Bro better make it after bigging himself up in front of 650. Oh, you're talking about him again. Yeah, I kind of gave up on that conversation. It's embarrassing listening to a Sunday League goalkeeper talking about crossing, and yet here you are. That's the craziest thing. I missed donations. I apologize. Oh, Aswad, thank you very much for being a member for 1 month. I think Gyökeres will improve as he will be training against Saliba and Gabriel, which will surely make him better. Forgot I had this type of chat. I appreciate it, Aswad. And yeah, you're right. Like, in theory, training every single day against Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, Mosquera, Timber, Ben White, that's going to be tough for him. And Sam Clayton as well, thank you very, very much for the $4.99. Said, hey, Rory, if Eze brilliant, although I think a more natural left winger could be a wiser move, will Arteta even play Eze on the left? Anyway, Sam, thank you very much. I'm incredibly grateful for that. I completely agree. And I guess the question of, whether or not he would play Eze off the left, I would hope so. I would hope so. Otherwise, yeah, he'd have to. Because otherwise, Eze would be coming in either as a Rice-like competitor, if he was looking at playing both Ødegaard and Eze in a midfield together, or he's coming in to compete with Ødegaard, in which case, where's Nwaneri? And is that the priority? That would be the only two options. So I feel like it would have to be an option that he was going to play off the left. And he's done it a fair bit. Obviously, the way that he plays for Palace, it's like they do play a front three of Sarr, Mateta, Eze. Previously, it was Elise instead of Sarr. But they have wing backs as well. So they're far more central. But they're not like... Eze's not a central midfielder because he's one of the front three. So I don't know. It'd be interesting. It would be interesting. I'm so pissed we haven't been linked to Leao. It is a bit strange. We've not been linked to Leao. We've not been linked to Lookman. We've really not been linked to many left wingers. I think that's the problem. We need to bring back the traditional 10 into our formation. Well, yeah, or just allow Ødegaard more freedom. Just allow him to be central more often. That would work too. Because especially, there's nothing actually to stop us moving at times far more into having Rice and Zubimendi as a double pivot. It worked really well. We had Jorginho and Rice operating as a double pivot for a fair period, and it worked well. The only real concern with it was always Jorginho's athleticism. So there's nothing to stop us doing that and allowing Ødegaard to be more central. By the way, that central player could even become Kai Havertz. It could even become Havertz, Gyökeres as a bit of a front two. So yeah, it'd be interesting. Okay. I don't want to speak for everyone, but I think we can all agree that the 66's time in the chat has come to an end. Goodbye. There we go. I have enforced the Online Safety Act on Keir Starmer's behalf. I've done it for his own safety. That will allow us to fit Nwaneri and even Dalman into the formation better. It could do, yeah. To be honest, I think Dalman is mainly going to play off the right-hand side when we see him this year. In the same way that Nwaneri mainly played off the right-hand side last year. I know people say, well, that was because Saka was injured, but there was a fair period where Ødegaard was injured and we didn't really play Nwaneri in his position. I think at that age, it's just the more protective way of playing them, which is fine. Again, Dalman came on yesterday. He doesn't look out of place at all. He just doesn't. Do you think Arteta will finally win something? I hope so. Pessimistic Arsenal fan. I assume you don't, but I hope so. I think Milan has and will stop any talk over Leao because they have lost almost all their good players. But that's the thing. They're in Milan are in a crazy spot, and they're not in Europe, are they? So, I mean, I'm kind of surprised Leao doesn't do more to force a move away from them. Could you see Arteta playing Zubi at left back in order to fit Havertz, Eze, Nwaneri into the midfield? No. I could maybe see him trying some other players at left back, but not Zubimendi. That would be strange. Do you think KSE can take us to being a multi-club business, or would you rather Saudis? You mentioned it before. That it's an interesting topic. I don't think the Cronkies ever will. From what we've seen and heard, the Cronkies have no intention of ever taking us to a multi-club model. And yeah, like I've said before, I think to compete at this point, you need to be a multi-club model. Because if there was no benefit to the multi-club model, Man City wouldn't be doing it. Chelsea wouldn't be doing it. Liverpool wouldn't be about to do it. And you look at all of the transfers that they make. It is multiple transfers every single year between Girona and City, between Chelsea and Strasbourg. Clearly there is a significant benefit to doing it. So if that benefit exists, it's just another benefit that we're not making use of. Now, I don't like the multi-club model. if I had the choice and the power, I would remove multi-club models altogether. I would outlaw multi-club models. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous that a club can effectively be bought and then just turned into like a shell for another club, for a bigger club. I don't like that at all. But as long as it's happening, we're just going to lose out by not having one. Sam, thank you very, very much for another $9.99. Unbelievable support, Sam. If Eze does play out on the left, Arteta has to change his tactics and give up his obsession with the left wing hugging the touchline. Overloading the right side is too obvious. Need flexibility on both. 100%. 100%. You can't have... Well, if you want to get the best out of Eze, you can't have Eze and Miles Lewis-Skelly, who both kind of want to be in that same inside left area when we've got plenty of the ball. So, yeah, you're right. Like, Eze would thrive with an attacking, overlapping fullback, as we have seen at Palace. Multi-club models should have the rule of not on the same continent, so you've got a sister club effectively. Even then, I mean, Chelsea, I think, still do plenty of business with one of the American teams, I think. You've got Nottingham. Well, you've got a combination of Nottingham Forest and Lyon doing a load of business with Botafogo. Like, teams will still get around it. I do agree; it makes it far too easy to do it with European clubs. But I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. I don't think they're ever going to get rid of the multi-club model. So there you go. Anyway, look, this is going to be the end of the stream. Considering there wasn't that much news to talk about, we've been live for nearly an hour, which is fantastic. I appreciate all of you for watching. If you haven't already, please do like, please do subscribe. All of the people that have gifted and stuff today, absolute legends. I hope you enjoy the new cannons that you've got and the emojis that you have use for. And I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. We will have a quiz question for those that enjoy the quiz questions. But for those of you that don't, like I said, have a good Friday evening. Have a great weekend. And I'm not sure what content we'll have tomorrow. So there you go. We'll just leave that one on there. That's pleasant. That's pleasant. Right, let's come up with a quiz question. Well, I say come up. Let's read a quiz question out of a book. Here we go. Here we go. Fingers on keyboards. Fingers on keyboards. Arsenal beat Southampton in the final of the 02-03 FA Cup, but who scored the winning goal? Arsenal beat Southampton in the final of the 02-03 FA Cup, but who scored the winning goal? Someone's got it right, so I'll give you the options. The options were Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, or Robert Pires. And the first person, there's so many. I love the random. I love the random answers that get spammed. So Ethan Udall is desperate for David O'Leary to be an answer at some point. He loves it. Right, who was the first person to get it right? It was Sam Shapiro. It was indeed Pires. Sam Shapiro was first. Mr. was second. Maybe Ethan Udall tried to put Pires, but he's put Parole, which is unfortunate. So Mr. is second. Third is, we'll give it to Mark. He's put Pires. We'll give him Pires. Ethan Udall has then put Pies, but we will give him it at that point. So he's fourth. And FFS PPL is fifth. There you go. Ethan Udall really having some significant issues with his keyboard in that round. Unbelievable. Sam, thank you very much for the 199. Says Piers. Close, Pires. Although, Sam, I will say this. Massively grateful for the 199. You are never, ever going to win if you super chat the answer, because the time it takes to super chat the answer is way too long compared to the winner. There you go. There you go. Before I was born, how the hell can I get that? I mean, it's one of those. To be fair, I actually do think, this is slightly off topic, but I remember when Alex from The Different Knock got a lot of abuse for the quiz questions that he got wrong on on the overlap. But I would say, when you're not when you don't witness something when you're alive, I do think it is genuinely more difficult to remember. So obviously, like an FA Cup final goal, okay, maybe you should remember it. But like if you're in your 20s and 30s when that happens, I think you're far more likely to remember it than if you've watched it on a YouTube video effectively to try and remember it. So I do think there is an element of that, which is why I don't do like I try not to do the really old questions. Too many haters in the chat. When you're big, you're big. To be fair, as much as I appreciated the raid, I think the raid did come with some questionable characters, shall we say. But there we go. Anyway, look, that is going to be the end of the stream. I appreciate you all for joining. If you want to continue the conversation, as always, the link to the Discord is down in the description. Not exactly sure what the content is going to be this weekend. I have a bit of a busy weekend, and there's not a huge amount going on with Arsenal at the moment, but keep your eyes peeled, notifications on. And other than that, I will catch you all next time. But have a fantastic Friday evening. Have a great weekend. And I'll catch you all on the next one. Goodbye.